Not everyone is good at their job. And coming up are some designers who, well, are so bad at their jobs, they deserve a special place in hell. From terrifying toilets and kitchen catastrophes to jaw-dropping fashion and children's toys that will give you nightmares. Let's dive into part 8 of designers who should go to hell for their ideas. The bathroom. It can at times be a pretty awkward place, namely after Taco Bell. But you'll be pleased to know that the bathroom horrors on the agenda today aren't of the explosive diarrhea variety, but interior design. For instance, as if urinals weren't already unpleasant enough, this one comes as a sort of 2-in-1 deal with a sink fitted right above. Why can't I shake the horrible feeling that this thing's a closed system of constant pee cycling? Granted, public restrooms are rarely a pleasant endeavor. However, this one takes the cake. What with it being insanely uncomfortable due to its awfully small proportions. What is this? A bathroom stall? For ants? Needless to say, my XXLs wouldn't stand a chance in there. But with our booming population and dwindling economy, space is becoming more and more of a privilege. And as such, designers sometimes have to come up with space-saving solutions. Case in point, why waste a whole room in your house as a bathroom when you could just put the toilet beneath your kitchen counter? Preparing dinner while evacuating lunch has never been easier. Worse yet, this has unfortunately happened more than once. My question is though, how exactly is one supposed to use this without being completely bent in half? You know, my friend and relatives all have respectable, serious jobs, and yet here I am considering how I would use this under-the-counter toilet. One designer, however, who clearly didn't prioritize space saving is the one responsible for this sink. Rather than having pipes like a standard sink, the designer opted to make a spectacle of the water flowing down into a floor drain. Hard to know whether this was for a genuine practical reason or just a failed attempt at being different. Either way, it's a no from me. Also earning a big nope from me is this toilet seat, which has the questionable design choice of water droplets. Yeah, goes without saying that this is the last thing you'd want to see on a toilet seat. But in all my episodes of designers who should go to hell, I don't think I've ever come across anything quite as, unique as this next bathroom. With a small pocket of space above their staircase, this homeowner had the genius idea of installing a bathroom there, accessible by an additional rickety fold-out staircase. Sure, the resourcefulness is to be somewhat admired, but I have to say I'd rather not do my business in an elevated chamber concealed by a flimsy curtain, which I very much doubt is soundproof or smell-proof. But should you get into any dreaded toilet messes, this next bathroom could be handy.
Literally the worst design tap ever. Just look at this. What the is that? What the is that? What the
Okay, so admittedly this is more of a plumbing defect than it is bad design choice, but still, getting unexpectedly soaked with water is pretty hellish if you ask me. In other flawed bathroom designs, the designer of this vanity mirror setup in an Airbnb evidently prioritized aesthetic over practicality, since the lights cover the door and prevent anyone from actually accessing inside the cupboard, making it pretty much obsolete. Bravo, designer. Bravo. Stepping out of the bathroom now and into the rest of the house, here are some what I like to call home unimprovements. I mean, just take this kitchen for example. Someone clearly not in their right mind opted to have their cabinets upholstered in leather cushioning, studded with diamantes. Because if that doesn't exude class and taste, then I don't know what else does. But despite being the very definition of trash, cream leather is also just highly impractical in a space prone to messes and spills. Speaking of messy kitchens, they don't come much messier than this one that has a random stove and extractor fan haphazardly plonked in the middle at a strange angle. Clearly not the work of a feng shui master. I can't really think of any logistical reason as to why the stove would have to be there, aside from a deranged adoration of bad design. But as if that counter wasn't irksome enough, just get a load of this door installed in an attic room. Due to the slanted ceiling, the door obviously had to be at an angle too. Only some numbskull decided to stick the offcut of the door onto the ceiling, resulting in this funhouse-looking door. I mean, every part of me wants to hate it, but I can't help but think it's kinda fun. Not quite as amusing to me, though, is this light switch. Having clearly been covered by a wooden panel, someone decided to cut out a little notch so that it could be used. Now, of course, I can understand that the functionality of a light is arguably more important, but come on. Surely there was a way to deal with this that might have been more pleasing to the eye. On the flip side, this gate here sports virtually no functionality. As you can see, someone could literally slip right through the side. Now I will say, if you look closely, you'll notice that this appears to be a lockup for trash cans, making it unlikely that anyone would actually steal them and acting more as a deterrent. But it's still insanely easy for any would-be trash thieves. Sticking with the idea of pointless designs, see if you can spot what's wrong with this door. Yeah, why on earth would a door with a huge-ass window need a peephole? Safe to say, this isn't the most covert way to spy on your neighbors. I mean, it's possible that the window was installed at a later date, but if not, whoever designed the door is a certified dummy. Speaking of which, I'd like to know which dummy thought up of this staircase disaster spotted in a hotel. As if spiral staircases aren't already trippy enough, why not just add in another staircase that drops onto 3 different steps? Because that's definitely not an accident waiting to happen. Grandma, no! On to some fatalities of the fashion kind now, and boy have I got some hideous creations in store for you. When it comes to big fashion designers such as Fendi, you'd expect their pieces to have a certain level of style and taste. 2 words which I'm afraid cannot be used to describe this shawl they put out back in 2018, aptly named The Touch of Fur. Yeah, we're all thinking the same thing, right? Needless to say, this piece certainly captured the attention of the internet, and the fashion piece soon became a laughingstock, with people noting that wearing it kinda makes you look like you're being given birth to. To add insult, this bushy shawl retailed at a staggering $990. For that price, I personally prefer my shawls a little less furry. Speaking of ugly designs by famous brands, when Puma teamed up with Studio Hagel, they conceived perhaps some of the ugliest shoes known to man. If you can even call them shoes. I mean, how are you even supposed to walk in them? But then again, if you're in the market for a super unique style that absolutely no one else has, nor wants, or you just want to pop your annoying neighbor's soccer ball, then these might be of interest to you. When it comes to fashion, one of the biggest capitals is, of course, Paris. Don't we all wish we could emulate some of the style and the elegance of the French? Well, what could possibly be more sophisticated than this Paris cap? Or should I say, Pais cap? If only there were a letter in the word Paris that has a kinda similar shape to the Eiffel Tower. I just can't think. Okay, so Nike Air Force Ones have been around since 1982, and since then they've become a staple sneaker enjoyed by all ages and genders. So much so, in more recent years, people have begun commissioning custom-designed Air Forces with unique colorways and even famous characters. However, one custom design that I can assure you absolutely no one asked for is this teeth-covered abomination. I mean, what kind of freak would come up with this, let alone buy them? Someone who I can assure you deserves a special place in hell. And if not that, at least some kind of offenders list. But if those teeth sneakers weren't freakish enough for you, feast your eyes on these shoes that someone found in an actual shoe store. Because who wouldn't want tons of tiny babies in the sole of their shoe? These shoes are from designer Jeffrey Campbell and run up over $200. Once again proving the world of fashion is just horrendously weird. Like, who is the target demographic for a shoe filled with tiny babies? I truly dread to think. Now, as a child, I always hoped that one day my toys would come to life like in Pixar's Toy Story. However, after seeing this Woody toy here, I sincerely hope to God that it never moves an inch. He looks like the kind of guy who would drink way too much at a family event and then confidently express some questionable political opinions. Equally as frightening, this flock of possessed Lisa Simpson stuffed toys is what I imagine the creatures lurking the depths of hell probably look like. Arguably even more terrifying is this bizarre koala bear sculpture that was repainted into Mario. I have so many questions, yet I'm speechless. I don't even have any zingers left in the tank for this one. It's broken me. Anyway, on the topic of terrible ideas, I seem to have stumbled upon a strange niche where people create their own custom Minions-themed furniture. And well, judging by this chest of drawers advertised on Facebook Marketplace, the result is rather unsettling to say the very least. You couldn't pay me $100 to take this. Similarly, someone had the dastardly idea of giving their outdoor log burner a minion makeover. I can't really think of anything more despicable than a grinning minion with a belly full of fire. Turning your attention to this ride-on Spider-Man toy, see if you notice anything particularly weird. Yeah, I'm talking about this visible panty line. Seems like an odd thing for the designer to include, but hey, we don't discriminate here at Be Amazed. Nor do we fat shame either, so it's absolutely fine that this Dora the Explorer double stuffed toy has gone up a few dress sizes. Having said that, my thoughts are with the other stuffed toys that are being crushed to death by Dora's derriere. Another design that wasn't fully thought through is this Mickey Mouse shower head. Needless to say that Mickey grinning whilst looming over showering children is slightly problematic. Oh boy. Similarly, another inappropriate children's design is this pony slide spotted in a park where the children appear to slide right out of the pony's lower intestine. Like, how at no point during this toy's conception did the designer not consider that a slide coming right from a horse's rear end might be a tad inappropriate? It's a nay from me. Arguably, though, one of the most inappropriate ideas for a children's toy was this doctor set. I mean, it has all the things you'd expect in a doctor's kit: glasses, a toothbrush, rubber ducks, bowling pins, oh, and a couple of guns, too. Talk about end-of-life care. Now, in a video about designers who should go to hell, it seems ironic that this next design involves the Bible's very own A-list celeb, Jesus Christ. And oh, Jesus. Okay, I'm not even going to comment on this one. Though while we're on the topic of Jesus, nothing provides a better way to celebrate his birthday, Christmas, quite like a hairy big toe. Oh wait, sorry, no, that's supposed to be a baby Jesus ornament. Sweet baby Jesus. Some designs seem to be intentionally creepy, however. Like, for example, these ketchup and mustard bottles, which have faces traumatizing enough to induce years' worth of therapy. Go on, give them a squeeze, I dare ya. But as if we haven't already seen enough nightmare fuel, check out this demonic coffee table. Whatever you do, just don't look into its eyes, lest you and your family line be subjected to an eternal curse. And just when you thought things couldn't get more bizarre, someone on Facebook was seen trying to sell a ceramic Cheeto with Jason Statham's head on it. I wish I were lying. Facebook Marketplace truly is the Wild West. I'd like to think that this at one time belonged to Jason himself, and that his home is filled with various ceramic animals with his head on it. Okay, moving on. When Dune Part 2 came out, they released a promotional popcorn bucket for cinema goers. The bucket was intended to represent the sandworm from the movie, with the bucket's opening being the sandworm's maw. Only, and let's see if you agree, many people thought it looked like something very different. And that's all we'll say on that. And if you don't know what I'm getting at, you're either too innocent or too young. In which case, get to bed. You have school in the morning. Effective design is one of the most important factors of marketing and selling a product, and when design is so bad that it's comical, it tends to distract from the actual product. Case in point, this pack of diapers spotted in Japan. Yep, either this is some kind of photoshopping error or this baby has 3 arms, one of which has mutant-level super strength. If I'm being honest, I'd like to imagine it's the latter.
What's that, Mother? Nap time? I don't think so, Mother.
Similarly, one company decided to advertise on the side of a bus, but failed to realize that the model would have a cycloptic wandering eye when the bus window was open. Safe to assume that a Cyclops woman wasn't who they intended to have as the face of their company. Likewise, this guy also found himself a victim of the bus window. Still with both eyes intact, just a very narrow field of vision. Cute smile, though. One of the worst marketing designs, however, has to be what I'm assuming are ET branded potatoes. As if an extraterrestrial wouldn't be weird enough as a potato mascot, the design made poor old ET look like a turd. Yeah, don't be pointing that stinky finger anywhere near my potatoes, ET. But if by any chance you are in the mood for some fecal-infused food, get yourself down to this festival where you can tuck into some delicious fart food. Oh wait, sorry. That's meant to be food art? Yeah, considering English speakers read left to right and downwards, maybe it's not such a good idea to put a giant capital F next to the word art. Same goes for this shampoo bottle that says scalp refreshing shampoo, but has freshing poo grouped in font color. Let me just lather some freshing poo into my hair. This seems especially confusing since the other parts of the word scalp resham don't make any sense either. So why they would do this is truly beyond me. Arguably the worst, however, is this foot file, which was marketed as, and I quote, petty file. Like what? How on earth does this make it to the point of being mass-produced without anyone realizing the connotation here? But on the topic of inappropriate connotations, one public restroom thought it would be a good idea to use this sign for their unisex toilet. And while what the sign shows looks pretty illegal for a public bathroom, it seems to actually be a person sitting down to pee and a person standing up to pee. Regardless, it's not exactly like we need diagrams of what goes on in the bathroom. Bad signage comes in all shapes and sizes, and quite literally too. As can be seen with this handicap marking, whose only disability seems to be an excessively extreme Brazilian butt lift. Must be a full-body workout lifting that thing off the ground. Or perhaps what we're seeing here is Kim Kardashian's personal parking spot. Hard to tell. But this is just one example of what might be considered poor city planning, i.e. things placed in public areas by local authorities that are just poorly designed. Like for example, this peculiar zigzag sidewalk. Sure, it might look a little clumsy, but it's actually extremely unsuitable when you consider how challenging this might be for wheelchair users and strollers. Similarly, in attempting to avoid a utility pole, this sidewalk ended up being completely absurdly disjointed. Besides this being the blunder of some dummy, the only other explanation I can possibly think of is that the sidewalk was under construction and was in the process of being moved. Though the reality remains a mystery. If anyone has any ideas, let me know down in the comments. Oh, and while you're there, why don't you give that like and subscribe button some of that finger tapping action too. Now that's intuitive design. But back to some terrible designs, and you can argue that the person behind this road line was either very meticulous or just plain old stupid. Even just looking at the messiness of it is making me freak out. Though something that would freak me out even more would be if I had to lock my door over this drain every day. This is just an accident waiting to happen. Like how many keys, coins, and phones have been tragically lost here. That said, I'm sure it's nothing a nice welcome mat couldn't solve. Just remember to not hide the key under the mat. Still on the topic of drains, whoever was responsible for this one clearly didn't consider the actual purpose of a drain. As you can see, being at a higher ground level, the drain is unable to drain anything, which has resulted in a flood of rainwater. You know they're a designer who should go to hell when they've managed to achieve the complete opposite of what they intended. Another instance of outrageously poor consideration has to be this sign spotted on a bridge which directs cyclists to the right and pedestrians to the left. Only problem being the left side is obstructed by a pillar, as this guy so humorously demonstrated. Now, I think it's pretty clear that the sign isn't intended to be taken quite so literally, but nonetheless it's pretty hilarious. One that I can't quite wrap my head around though is this bus seat, which cannot even be used. At least not comfortably. I fear that this is how airline seats will be one day. And speaking of airlines, take a look at this spotted in Dublin Airport in Ireland. Clearly they didn't quite think through the impact the trolleys would have on the drywall. Talk about an Irish kiss, am I right? Of all the crappy designs in the world, the worst have to be those that are deceptive. I mean, just take a look at this birthday badge for a 2-year-old. Upon closer inspection, it literally says, "Not suitable for children under 3 years of age." Well, what's the damn point in that then? Another pointless design is this watering can, which can astonishingly not actually be used as a watering can. That is, not without the water completely flooding out of the tank. Now, some online were quick to defend this dreadful design, claiming it's purely decorative. However, the owner of it claims it was actually among the gardening section with all the other watering cans. And we have yet another completely pointless design choice here, as this entirely opaque bottle features measurements on the side. Not helpful in the slightest. Unless you have a stadium light helpfully shining straight into your kitchen window. What also isn't helpful is when you buy a pair of scissors, only to realize that already having a pair of scissors is apparently a prerequisite in order to open said scissors. Pretty darn stupid when you consider that most people who are buying scissors likely don't have any handy. Pure evil. I can't help imagining a poor dim-witted fellow buying these scissors from the store, then reading the package, sees he needs scissors to open them, so he heads back to the store, buys some scissors, looks at the packaging, encounters the same issue, and so on forever and ever. Poor guy. Anyway, with a similar lack of consideration, the designer of this arthritis cream included a lid with one of those really tough pull mechanisms, which are difficult enough for those of us who are able-bodied, let alone arthritis sufferers. For shame, for shame. What a cruel joke. Keeping on the deception theme, and what's more deceptive these days than the stuff on our phones? There seems to be a growing trend amongst different phone apps of sending out deceptive notifications. How so? Well, just take a look at this one sent to a user by McDonald's. Of course, anyone who gets a notification saying order confirmation is going to be panicked and confused and thus click onto the app. This, however, is exactly what they want you to do. Once you're on the app, through the power of marketing, they might even persuade you to buy their products. Pretty sneaky, huh? Somewhat similar is this notification one user received from Tinder, stating how it had taken the liberty of expanding their age and distance preferences. Now this is of course annoying, but more concerningly, just consider the ethics of this if you think about an 18-year-old using the app who is being exposed to much older people they didn't intend on being exposed to. That said, if anyone knows of any sugar mamas going around, hit me up in the comments. Asking for a friend who just increased his age range out of desperation. But hey, I've got an unusual piece of bad design up next, something I see as a sign of bad things to come. Remember how a few years back public concerns about our personal data being exploitively used and sold by websites led to many sites being forced to provide the option to opt out of data tracking cookies? Well, very recently, websites like British tabloid The Sun have started charging money for anyone who wants to reject cookies and personalized ads, locking off the opt-out option behind a paywall. That's right, companies are now trying to make you pay to not have them profit off of your personal data. Oh, what a joyous time to be alive. And I'm fairly certain it's only a matter of time before this becomes the norm, which lands this piece of devious design with the official title of Harbinger of Hellish Designs to Come. A truly unworthy award for a real piece of design. To whoever is responsible, I hope you're cursed to forever walk in nothing but these shoes. Now be gone, devil. Back to the underworld where you belong. Yeah. And on that note, that's about all I can handle, folks. Let me know which dumb design rattled your cage the most, and as always, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. For now, be amazed. Over and out.